Welcome, attendees and viewers on Facebook Live, to this installation of Vargas Conversations Online, a collateral event of the ongoing exhibition Displace, Embody, curated by Patrick Flores and featuring Thai and Filipino artists Brie Jonson, Eisa Jocson, Garbanzos, Patipat Chaiwitesh, Samak Kosem, and Wantani Siripattananuntakul, to reflect on discourses around transfigurations within the context of agency, location, and future. Displace Embody is an exhibition in partnership with Aura Contemporary Art Foundation that seeks to reflect on how bodies, species, and spaces transform constraints in simultaneous, urgent, and playful ways. Today's installment today's installment of Today's installment of Vargas Conversations Online is a reciprocal conversation moderated between yours truly, Catherine Campos, with curator Patrick Flores, Filipino artist Brie Johnson, and Thai artist Wantani Siripattananuntakul on their works and artistic practices. They will attempt to dissect the concept of gender laid evident by their cross-cultural tendencies and use of non-human tropes. Sir Patrick will be up first to give us a brief introduction of Displace Embody. Afterward, each of the artists will briefly talk about their works and practices. Then, we converse. At the end of the conversation, we'll open the floor to questions from our viewers and on Facebook Live. We have Vargas Museum work from home interns collating all your comments and questions, so feel free to comment and send them anytime during the duration of the event. We will address questions and comments during the Q&A portion at the end of the conversation. First, this afternoon, we will have curator Patrick Flores. Patrick Flores is a professor from the Art Studies of the University of the Philippines College of Arts and Letters and is the current curator of the Jorge B. Vargas Museum and Filipiniana Research Center. Notable projects in Flores' extensive curatorial experience include Under Construction New Dimensions in Asian Art in 2000, position papers during the 7th Guangzhou Biennale in 2008, and the Philippine Pavilion titled Tie a String Around the World for the 56th Venice Biennale in 2015. He was also the artistic director of the Singapore Biennale in 2019, which was titled Every Step in the Right Direction. You have the floor, curator Patrick Flores.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine, for that introduction. And I'd like to welcome everyone and thank all of you for coming and making the time for this afternoon's conversation. I also would like to thank all the artists who took part in this exhibition, Displace Embody, especially those who could join us this afternoon, Wantani and Brie. So our gratitude to your generosity and of course your art. The exhibition, this Displace Embody, came about when I curated Samak Kosem in 2018 for the Bangkok Art Biennale. We were having a conversation while we were going around the exhibitions, and I remember we were on some kind of a river cruise uh, uh, along on Chao Phraya River that we talked about this exhibition. I was struck by the phrase that um, Samak uses, which is non-human ethnography. For me, that's quite a provocative proposition because we always assume that ethnography is about people and about culture. But to put the word non-human in relation to this discipline of describing people and describing culture was a bit displacing. So this was the germ of the exhibition, and I'd like to quote something that Samak wrote on non-human ethnography as just as a way to open up this conversation. And I quote Samak. He says that after following sheep, because he did this video on sheep. So after following sheep for 3 months, I realized that they're not strays, but were living in shared pens next to the mosque, together with other sheep and animals that belonged to people in the community. I used GPS to mark the spots where the sheep went around the neighborhood, similar to the way anthropologists follow a head villager to learn about a village's setting. In my case, the sheep took me to all the places where they usually go, including the graveyard, the Islamic school, the mosque, the market, shops, and the military checkpoints. The owners told me that the sheep know where they can go and where they cannot cross. So animals have their perception of place, and sometimes they can realize boundaries between Thai Buddhists and Milayo Muslims by looking at their spots beside the road. Sheep are non-human, that is animals. But later I realized, and this is Samak speaking, here are other non-human subjects to be considered. I noticed through spending nights in tea shops that people kept telling stories of jinn, originally an Arabic term, a supernatural being created by God that lives in a world parallel to humans, but invisible. Sometimes the local calls them P, Thai for ghost. Reading 4 months Ghostly Desire provided me the possibility to think about queer personhood, which I compared to the jinn in Islamic belief, to compare the invisibility of queer people and jinn. In stark contrast, there are some subjects that locals like to talk about, but other subjects that they don't discuss at all. So that's the end of the quote from Samak. So to some extent, well, to a great extent, the exhibition emerged from my fascination with this idea of non-human ethnography and specifically in relation to Samak's practice. So Displace Embody is an exhibition about migration of bodies. So the process of taking on of subjectivity that may go against the expectations of normative or normalizing, though also signifying and representing discourses like identity, gender, class, and so on. So the temptation, of course, was to call this a queer or a trans show, but I resisted that temptation. I didn't, you know, I thought it wasn't productive to let these terms operate at the outset and determine the argument of the exhibition. So if the if the works lead the viewer to those terms like queer or trans, then so be it. But I'm not putting them at the outset. So instead, the exhibition lets the energies of migrating bodies, play out across articulations of species like human, non-human, or object in painting, sculpture, sound, moving image, photography, collage, and Instagram. Also, articulations of erotic desire in sex work, in animals, in self-presentation or presentation of self, in spirit or superhuman dimension, and the crossings of natural forms across bodies of human and bodies of water. And then finally, of violence and beauty or attractiveness in decaying or preserved forms. So the words displace and embody try to stage the condition of place and body, as may be translated in terms of course, context. Place is context, and body is subjectivity. But at the same time, they are disarticulated. I mean, that's why there is this prefix "dis," no? But at the same time, they are disarticulated and then rearticulated. That's why there's also this prefix of "m" for embody. So they are disarticulated and rearticulated, and we see these processes of disarticulation and rearticulation across the works in the exhibition. Um, so this they are disarticulated and rearticulated through an unhinging, no? An unhinging, and at the same time a belonging, which is hopefully a productive process of transformation. So that's my introduction for the curatorial context of the exhibition. So thank you.
Thank you, Sir Flores. And welcome again to this installation of Vargas Conversations Online, a collateral event for the ongoing exhibition titled Displace, Embody. You can send your questions through Facebook Live comment section. We will address questions and comments during the question and answer portion at the end of the conversation. Next up is Brie Johnson. Brie Johnson paints animals and plants to dissect the relationship that humans have with their environment and the divide that has grown between them, a divide that is unconscious and conscious displacement of animal and nature as other, different from human, and lower in importance and hierarchy. She's also exploring various ways of translating her ideas into space and thus has created installations and sculptures that pursue this. Johnson from Ateneo de Davao University, with exhibitions in Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Australia, Norway, and the United States. The floor is yours, Brie.
Hi guys. Hello. So hopefully I could be heard. Um, yeah, I started. Yeah, I graduated from. I actually didn't graduate as a art student. I dropped out of art school, but I'm already a graduate of industrial engineering. And then I remember like this one experience wherein you had to check a factory, and the state of the workers there really alarmed me. And from there I knew I couldn't go down that path. So then I found myself to be becoming an artist, and then working on this state of others, of putting, how do you say that, like, I call it like self-othering. So like putting yourself and to mirror it with others, and hopefully to to create this connection. um yeah, I'm going all over the place, sorry. So anyway, so for the works in the exhibit, wait, sorry, so sleepy. um well, a part of my background as well is that I grew up in Los Baños, Laguna, so it was a lot of nature in that place. We were pretty near Maria Makiling, the mountain. And then um, and then from there it informed me with nature. And I've, in our apartment space, we had a lot of, I wouldn't say gardens because they're pretty overgrown shrubs. So we had like large spiders and some eagles, some frogs and whatnot. And I would take care of all of them. So, and then as I grew up, I moved to Davao City, where I grew a relationship with the ocean, because it was a different world. Um, it was nice and clean, but then the more I stayed in the city, the more I saw everything degrade over the years. And I've also had a chance of going around Mindanao and in different places that don't have roads yet, so really virgin beaches. And then, yeah, it astounded me to know that a lot of locals would just go on stepping on corals and whatnot. So contrasting these two experiences of mine, from me as a kid loving nature, and then seeing, people just trample on them, not that they know any better, and I guess that's a huge part of the problem. But and then yeah, so when I thought of becoming an artist, the first subject the theme that I wanted to devote my practice to is the one that felt most important to me, which is our connection with nature. And a huge part of my work is reconnecting, is not transforming, but like giving a new way to see non-human species, and to take them out of this decorative, or this decorative, or this like sense that we use animals for, or just even just for food and whatnot, to take them out of that and then present them in their own way, at least as much as I could try to do. And then so I was invited to this show with Mr. Patrick Flores, and then from there we talked on which works would be included for the show. So for the show, I have like, yeah, a bunch of works. Basically, there's three themes, like the works that are eating each other or giving birth to each other. I call them like a theme on orifices like the mouth or the anus, or like wounds where lesions would come out. These things for me were, the it's kind of like a symbol for, it's pretty easy, like life and death. So from these orifices come in life and come out life, and that really fascinated me, especially when I was starting. And then the next theme that I tackled would be with the urchins and the anemones. Like um, for that one, I accentuated the sea anemones to have genitals instead of mouths. And then the sea urchins, like the ones displayed in Vargas Museum, the installation. For that one, I wanted to recreate the feeling of encountering urchins in underwater. So when you encounter them, you're jolted back, and you're jolted into the moment, and you start to think about the distance between the nearest spike and your skin. You panic, and I wanted to induce that panic in a gallery setting, along contrasted with the anemones. So the anemones I chose because actually they start out as female, and then when they get older, some of them turn male, and that also fascinated me. You know, um, yeah, I think that's pretty much that. Hello. So yeah, I'm good.
Thank you very much, Bree. So just a reminder, you can send your questions through Facebook Live comment section. We will address questions and comments during the Q&A portion at the end of the conversation. So next up, we have Wantanaee Siripattananuntakul. She works mainly in multimedia. She received her BFA from the Silpacorn in 1999 and is one of the master pupils of Professor Jean-François Guiton, University of Arts, Bremen in 2007. She has been a lecturer at the Faculty of Painting, Sculpture, and Graphics Art, Silpacorn University since 2009. She is recognized for exploring potential of works of art to raise many social questions and to increase awareness about present-day concerns. In 2007, she participated in the 53rd Venice Biennale. Take it away, Wantani.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. So, let me show. Let me start with hi, thank you. Let's start with my presentations. Today I would like to explain more about my work. Actually, in these exhibitions, I have presented two works, as you know. One is video work named Sawa, and another one is Vulnerable Voice, which is a sound piece. Anyway, before talking about the work, I would like to give you an overview about my core ideas. In 2009, I faced a difficult situation that changed my point of view about life and art. And in this slide, you will see that I divided my interesting issue into two parts. One part is about political and economic issues, and another part is focusing on the questions about life, which I'm trying to find the answer by building a relationship with an animal or non-human. The first animal I have worked with is an African gray parrot since 2013. An African gray parrot is a medium-sized parrot. This species is acknowledged as the most intelligent bird. I name her Boys, and we have collaborated work until now in many different media, right? Video performance, photos, and sculptures. After I spent my life with Boys for 7 years, she has pushed me little by little from a basic questions about what is life to new questions like what is life for non-humans perspective, or what is the meaning of life for human and non-human, and so on. In 2019, I have a collaboration project with my Japanese artist friend, Kenji Yoshida. And in this project, we both have focused on Thai elephants in Japan. From the historical research, I found the information about the Thai elephants named Hanako, who was exported to Japan as a diplomatic gift after the end of World War II. Unfortunately, Hanako's fate did not end up like a happy ending story. Her life changed after she cannot adapt herself to the new environment. Finally, she got stressed and killed 2 men. After that, she was alone in a cage and had to be moved to another zoo and died alone later. For us, this story represents not only Hanako's tough life, but also another species and even many migration workers too. For this press Embody project at Vargas Museum, I decided to jump out of animal to different being like a plant. At first, I plan to go back for revisiting Manila. But because of COVID-19 pandemic, it stopped my plan. So I went back to sit in front of my computer and travel online. And I asked myself which question or topic which is I can share with the Philippines. According to my personal work background, I picked up the water hyacinth as a main subject. The question is why water hyacinth. Of course, I want to talk about the immigration issue in this exhibition, but I don't want to speak out too directly. So I use a method of metaphor, and water hyacinth was picked up to represent this issue at the same level of bias. For me, the alien species had own history of immigration, and there are regional problems. In Thailand, water hyacinth arrived in 1896, and in 1912, it arrived to Philippines. As I found information that water hyacinth is an aquatic plant from South America, it was introduced as an ornamental of garden ponds around the world in the early 19th century because of its beautifully colored flowers. But unfortunately, around 1930, this beautiful plant became an invasive alien species that affect the ecology. In Thai context, King Rama V consort brought water hyacinth to Thailand when she traveled to Java, Indonesia. Water hyacinth was distributed from the royal palace to many places, but around 10 years later, it was growing rapidly over the river in many provinces and hard to control. Finally, it became a serious pest. That's why Thai local people named these plants Itai Suwa, which which is mean rubbish and trash. In this work, I use the water hyacinth as a metaphor to the migration, both human and non-human, such as alien species, alien plants, migrator, laborers, refugees, and asylum seekers, and so on, who were unwelcome. For me, how to become the alien, it has complicated reasons, and we could not be denied that human beings are a part of the problems. And for the another piece, which sound piece, vulnerable voice, I would like to present it as a voice of immigrant people. First, I plan to rearrange songs that wrote by immigrants from different countries, but because of pandemic crisis, I cannot came along with that idea. So in this piece, I use the Thai traditional lullaby no comin, or in English called Oriole Bird. The original lyrics explain about the journey of an oriole bird who tries so hard to find a living place, and when the dark and cold come. And I asked my sister, who lived like a migratory bird because of her career as a peddler, to hum and sing a song, as some word of the song. And I changed the mood and meaning of the song to represent the diasporas. Moreover, every time when I heard this song, it also remind me about my experience. For some personal reasons, I have to move out of a house within a day. And that situation made me feel sad and anxiety because I have no plan and no idea where I should go. It's just like a sentence in a song, where is my place, and I don't know. So in my concept of migration, is not only move out of country with physical body, but also move out of the safe place, both in physical and emotional ways. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wantani. So I just wanted to say thank you from me to all three of our speakers so far. It's been very interesting to listen to Sir Patrick talk about resisting temptation to label his show certain things, and to listen to both our artists speak about their personal journeys and motivations between their works that focus on human and non-human connections. So now that we're all acquainted with our curator and our artist for today's installment of Vargas Conversations Online, we now move on to a reciprocal conversation. So if anyone would like to ask anyone any questions here, feel free to start. Sir Patrick, Brie, and Wantani.
So maybe I can start. I have a question for Bree and Wantani. Thank you, Bree, and thank you, Wantani, for the presentation. I was just wondering if you could comment on the choice of medium that you decide on. Like, Wantani, why, what draws you to video and sound as a medium? And to Bree, what is it about painting that you think embodies the uh, the ideas that you'd like to convey? So I'm trying to connect the discourse and then the medium that you've decided on to articulate these intellectual anxieties. Yeah.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
Let me let me answer before I forget. Actually,
Go.
actually, as I told you, actually, I working on multi medium, but in this time it's because of I can say it's one reason, a big reason is because of COVID pandemic, and then I just figure out how can I transport my work without problems, because many times when I transport some object and it have some problems that I cannot be there to fix it or something like that. And then I decided to use video. And another reasons, I think somehow for me, sound or video, moving image can how can I say, can say something that I think is not easy, but it's where somehow it's direct from my feelings or my idea. It's like a pro. It's a because it's a moving image, and the power of moving image can draw us and jump into the image, and it's helped a lot to send a message. That's why I choose these two medium.
Yeah, I asked that Wantani because in ethnography, video is also employed. No, it's also used in visual ethnography. So and Samak also uses video as an anthropologist. No, and he in fact this I'm sure you know the video of the waves. No,
Yeah.
the waves. No, so for him the wave is like an agent, some kind of a human like dimension to the wave. So that's why I asked what that the relationship between the moving image and your ideas. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so for me, I initially started with painting because it was the medium that was most, I mean, no shame, like directly, truthfully, it was the most available to me at that moment. But also, I think it provided to me a way to articulate things that I cannot write, that I could not or say. Obviously, I'm a bad speaker. That I cannot write, I cannot find the words for, and then the brush, the pigments, I kind of romanticized it, and yeah, I just fell in love with it. But the more that I grew into my artistic practice, the more I realized that not everything can be, I mean, everything more or less can be portrayed, but not as accurately nor precisely nor to the effect or affect that I would want it to have. So that's where I started exploring other mediums. So I did installations. I'm trying. My main frustration at the moment is sculpture. Sculpture I find hard to go into because the space is quite limited, things like that. But then the video also really interests me. So like for my recent show in Art and Formal in Manila, Philippines, that I made a video work wherein it's entitled Green Man Suit. So it's a person wearing a green suit, and then she or he, I didn't specify the gender, strips down. It's basically a striptease film. But for the green suit, we deleted the skin. So the moment that the last piece of clothing is gone, she or he completely disappears. For me, it's also a part of what I'm trying to say, like the relationship between that we have with others, like and how this disappearance is kind of a disruption, but also I wouldn't say titillating, but in a way, it's kind of like that. Like you're always kept on the edge. And then I contrasted that with videos, with the paintings of endangered birds. Actually, I can show it if you guys want to see a bit. Yeah, let me figure this out. Wait, let's just see this first. Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the show, and then for each of the panels, it's entitled like falling birds. So it's birds like purposely painted upside down as if they're falling from the sky. So from the left you see like Philippines, birds from Philippines, endangered birds from Philippines, and then second's from Java, third one is from the Pacific, and then I interspersed the floors and installation of blue corvids. Very tongue-in-cheek, and it's only because a group of crows is called the murder. So I wanted to, and they were in this blue because I wanted, I love that story about Yves Klein, I don't know if it's true or not, but I just read it that he was at the beach with his friends and then he just proclaimed that he wants to have the sky, and that's when he started with the blue. And for me, to paint these birds blue is kind of like they should be also off the sky, but then behind them like all these paintings about falling birds. Interestingly as well, just a side note, so when the works were transported to the gallery, the the delivery guys put them upside down, and I like that they put it upside down. Maybe it felt more natural for them to have the birds going up to the sky rather than downwards. And so I put this extra instruction so whoever acquires the work, it will be up to the collector to present it the way they like. I mean, I like that. I like for the person to have their own decision as to how the work is. And then, yeah, just the details. And this is the video work that was there. So I hope it plays. Yeah. So this is the video work that is there. It's 80s, 90s professional broadcast TVs, and then there's a 5 channel. It's different videos, more or less, and some of them are zoomed in, some are zoomed out, some are slowed down, some are sped up, and they're not synchronous at all. It's I gave instructions that by chance, like if it's turned on, it's turned on, and yeah, I like the contrast that this gives to the birds. I think they are off the same venue. Yeah, that's basically that.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
yeah, let me quit this.
Yeah. Thank you, Bree. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I think that's yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for all three of you. I think it's on everyone's mind. It's kind of a hot topic question now. So, how has the quarantine space influenced your artistic practices? And have you felt more or less compelled to make pieces that are relating to our current situation?
wait, what again? Sorry.
How how is the quarantine spaces that we're all in different countries now? How do you feel like the quarantine has influenced your artistic practice? And do you feel more inclined to make art or any less or any changes there?
Okay, who's first? um, okay, okay, I'll go first. Well, actually, interestingly, during quarantine, I was trapped in Bataan. So it's a province in Luzon. It's 4 hours away from Manila. I left on a whim. I left hours before the lockdown. And then within minutes, within 30 minutes, I found somewhere to go. And then I rented for 1 month. But little did I know it wasn't 1 month, it was 3 months and a half. So I got stuck in a province in the middle of nowhere. But it was beautiful. I had an entire beach cove to myself. Also fake employee papers because the military was checking. Tourists were strictly not allowed. And that's where I got the inspiration for the birds actually, because there were so many. It was every 4 a.m. they start. It's not just tweeting; it's hoots and tweets and calls and bird songs as well. And yeah, being stuck there really changed the way I think about home and safety, because I didn't feel safe. We were constantly out of supplies for several weeks. We didn't have tissue paper, and I lived in a glamp tent. It's still a tent. It by the end of the day, we had all the elements in us with in the room, and then we'd also run out of electricity. It started getting rainier. It was muddy inside. We had bees, ants, spiders, course the birds and then and I had to make do with what was available. There was no ATM, there was no stores. The nearest market is 2 hours away. We're not allowed to go out of the market, not allowed to go to the market, so I have to rely on staff of the place. And yeah, it was this whole logistics problem. Also, Philippines fucked up the food logistics. So for several, I mean, there would come a time we don't have salt or pepper, and I didn't know what a privilege it is to have salt and pepper yeah, you run out of them. And at some point, it was only sayote, like this vegetable that we could eat. Um, yeah, that, and then I had to make do with the studio. I took up this unfinished warehouse space with no roof. So, and that's where I had to work. Yeah, it's a whole load of problems that I had to make do. But that's what I realized, that in a way, limitations inspire creativity, because with limited resources, you're forced to be able to make sense of what you have in order to achieve what you want. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, for me, actually, if you mean in physicalist, I it's not so different because I have own studio at home. But if about the psychology problem is happen a lot, is affect to me a lot, because in Thailand now we did not face just only pandemic. We face also the political crisis in the same time, and also economic crisis. And it's affect a lot. Yeah, like now I will have another solo exhibition in this year, such as, and then I have a plan to to paint, to make a big painting over 300 paintings, but it's need a lot of budget. And with this situation, that's why, so finally I decided to reduce the numbers of my painting, because I'm not sure about the future, what will happen with this country. And but if about the way to, actually, because maybe I'm lucky, one lucky on me, because I can, how can I say, I know how to make video. And that means, so in this career, or in this medium is helped me a lot. That means, so even I'm stuck in the house, I'm still can create some work.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, Wantani, like Thailand is crazy right now, no?
Yeah, super crazy,
Actually,
do you heard about the a coup in Myanmar?
oh my God, no, no.
Yeah, around 2 or 3 days ago.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah,
recent.
yeah, and then, but now it's more funny. Maybe I'm not sure it's a joke or it's a real. It's have now the Thai people share this this sentence that how can I say, one guy, or I don't know who's in Myanmar, said to try to call out the people to fight with the military coup, and then they just say, if you don't fight, you will be like a Thai people now.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like there's revolutions all around the world.
Yeah.
But actually, before coming to Morocco, I also considered going to Thailand, and you guys are releasing 1,200 visas a month. But it's crazy because it says on the website 1,200 Thai baht, I think. But then the actual price that is being sold, I think it's around, wow, I don't know what the figure is, but in pesos, it's like 200,000 pesos, which is like a lot. Because what's happening right now is the businessmen trying to go back. So they're trying to pay more.
You should be VVIP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more
No,
easy.
it's sad because then the country is trying to earn on its own citizens, the ones who are providing jobs to people. So if you milk them out, how are they going to pay their employees?
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
true.
I had to say no with that. It's too much.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So, Catherine, I think we're ready for the next question or something.
Okay. So we have one question, and they're specific for each of you. So I'll start with Bree. So how do you render the body into your artworks? So notably, you use non-human figures to breathe life into themes about humans and their environment. What are the artistic considerations that you have made now that there exists this layer of literary translation from fable to body?
Yeah, I would like to ask actually, 'cause I read that question. What do you exactly mean by literary translation from fable to body?
Oh, not from fable to body. From concept to the work that you present.
Ah, okay. Well, Well, when I started, it was more of like existence and whatnot. But as I got deeper into the subject, I started going into like more specific representations of certain species, and right now leaning towards species that are given a symbol or a story by humans in order to promote an idea, which could be either good, like a good idea, or a bad idea. You know, for example, like vultures. Vultures are a sign of like for the Indians, they clean out the dead, and for them it's a process of purification. But then, you know, in the West, they demonize vultures, like, oh yeah, it's a bad omen, things like that. So I've also encountered the term that Samak spoke of, the non-human ethnography, or multi-species ethnography is also, I think, another term for it. And from there, it's actually a pretty interesting movement because it's just more or less starting. There's just still a few speakers and writers about it. It's not, you know, it's not yet it's time. It's still in the making, I would say. But the majority of the books that I'm reading are leaning towards that. And yeah, I would say it's a continuous exploration of the subject. The way I work, I read a lot, and then come on, get an idea and then just write it down and then just do it. Before, I would overthink things, and everything has to have a specific reason why I would do it. But I forwent that, and now aim to just work on something as it hits me, which actually requires a lot of bravery or bravado even to do. um, yeah, I don't know. Like for the video I showed a while ago, it was a video, it was an idea I had since 2018, but on a whim, just a few months ago, I said, I'll do it, you know, things like that. The considerations I'd say I make not before, but mostly during. So a work I finish several times and then refinish and redo, or sometimes it's the first time and it hits already the sweet spot. But yeah, like the it goes back again to it also comes into play with with the medium that is used. So I may accentuate certain properties like the tactile. I don't know how to, there must be a word for it, but like when you look at something and you can already feel just by looking, like the tactility of the surface. Like for the falling birds, I wanted it more raw and more of the strokes, and even the mistakes to be seen. I wanted the mistakes to be there. So I never totally erased something. And it's just layers upon layers of them falling. So, and then for the video as well, I wanted it to be kind of voyeur, amateur porn, striptease, and yeah, like from a, like it's not the full picture, but you're just showed snippets of it, and then I wanted it gritty and sort of like a noir film. And then I don't know, I don't try to, going back, I don't try to overthink things anymore, and just finish it to how I initially thought it, and then try to take the considerations afterwards, like try to refine it. It's a lot more trial and error. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Brie. So our next one's for Wantani.
Yeah.
You've mentioned this earlier in your artist statement, but we just thought it might be interesting to discuss it further. So what are the local references that you used in making your artworks?
Well, like I show you in my slides, that my work have reference from Thai history, either history about the original or the origin of water or Thai traditional lullaby. But for water hyacinth story, there are so many different details. One said that the queen is the person who brought the plant into Thailand, but another source said a queen is not queen, but who's bring it to Thailand is a king consort. And the writer is trying to make an execute by giving the comment that whoever import them was not important, and we should not critic because they had a good intention. I'm not sure that is about that is the way that the state apparatus or the effect of the law Article 112, which is not allow us to contain the monarchy. And for the song that I got the inspire, actually is true. This is have so many versions and have so different meaning. Even it's the same song. The original one is about the lyric is about the journey of birth, but in the modern versions, the composer tried to expand it to and change some a little meaning to love song about the lonely person who find lovers. And I try to mix it up together with the idea and also with the way of rhythm and melodies, and use it in this work. That's it.
Thank you for that. Okay, so next we have Sir Patrick. The quarantine situation in the Philippines has rendered the Vargas Museum mostly empty without its usual warm bodies. The museum space is now mostly unheard of without the help of online promotions and informational campaigns. Was it a conscious decision to hold the exhibition in these conditions? And likewise, should we assume that all future exhibitions will have to reckon with the emptiness of space?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the museum as an institution the museum as an institution always reaches out, always reaches out to a unpredictable context. So it suffers from a high level of exposure to so many forces, and it is the nature of the museum to absorb these forces because of its desire to be part of a wider context. And the pandemic is one such force. And so the response of the museum is to mediate that force, to come to terms with the consequences of the situation, and harness its potential as an institution to be able to live with the situation. So the desire is always to touch base with the public, but the institution was constrained by this by rules on physical contact. So that was an issue. So the default strategy was to pivot to the digital platform, to be able to produce an exhibition uh, and at the same time reach out to the public through the exhibition. Of course, we could reach out to the public in other ways as an institution. The archive, for instance, was also very important medium. The archive no longer became a repository of the past. It became the program of the present. No? So that was quite an interesting situation in which the archive becomes very current because it was one way to uh, to reach the public. It was based on the archive of the museums that we could develop educational programs, that we could develop modules for students, and so on and so forth. So the exhibition, the archive, education became, I mean, the boundaries between them became blurred during this time. And in a way, the gaps were crossed digitally. So for me, it's not just exclusively digital. It's a combination of so many forces at work that the museum had to mediate so that it could still perform its desire. No? So we and in the course of time, the the idea of the normal itself would become part of the question. So it was no longer a given. That the normal, like the normative in, let us say, gender or animal-human relationship, became part of the question. So what is the normal? And why is there a desire for the normal or a return to the normal? So that in itself became a question for the museum.
Thank you, Sir Patrick. So does anyone have any questions for one another? Brie, Wantani, Sir Patrick?
I think we're
No.
okay.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
For me, at least.
So before we end our conversation, we'll try to answer some of the questions we've been getting from our Facebook Live viewers. So these questions have been gathered from our work from home interns, from our valued Facebook viewers. So this first one is directed at Brie and Wantani. What medium have you never tried that you think would fit your current subjects, and would you like to try them?
Well, for me, yeah, performance. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if we're on the topic of bodies, and then performance is basically, I feel like it is getting out of your own perception of your own self, and then embodying a different personality or character mindset completely. Um, I've only I've only acted once in my life. I acted in a short film, and it was a horror film. I only agreed on the basis that I was gonna be the killer. So I was there. I was stabbing people, and it gave me so much joy to be able to stab people legally. No, I'm kidding. It gave me so much joy to, yeah, to not think about being me, and to concentrate on every to concentrate to fully concentrate into being the very essence of this person who stabs people, coming out of painting, stabbing people. And yeah, I like that. And it I feel like it opens so many other, what do you call that, like, it opens so much dialogue about the self, or the relationship of the self, or the transitional qualities of of a body. And that's, I think, what I want to do with the green man suit, like with the video a while ago. But and I wanted to make it into a series. But like for a live performance, I think that one I cannot do completely. Yeah.
Maybe that's
I
for Eisa Jocson.
yeah, no, I loved her exhibit complete. I loved her exhibit completely. I've seen it a couple of times before, but then I also love the one that she did for the show.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't do an Eisa Jocson. Let's give that to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, actually, I have so many medium I would like to try, but now I just try one that I never do it because I make a paintings. I'm not a painter, so I do not know how to paint it, and so I think, oh wow, how can I do it? And then what should I paint? And then I try to do it in my way. I I I don't know that they can call paintings or not, but I try to use canvas and base material, but very expensive one because I believe I have no, how can I say, I am not a good painter, but if I use a good medium or expensive medium, it will help me a lot to make it better than if I use the low budget or a cheap budget. Yeah, that's
I
it.
agree with that though. No, it yeah. Well, on a but I also think like as an artistic practice is always in it's always no, it's not always. I only just realized in Bataan that it's the discomfort I think is integral to artistic practice. That in a way you should always find new ways to not explain but to tell a narrative.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be, I don't think it has to be like a completely novel way that you're the first in the world, but at least, to break boundaries of the self and to experiment and to allow oneself to commit mistakes through these experiments.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with the materials. I do the same. I still don't think I'm a good painter, but with good materials, maybe. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
my good friend said, "Hey, Wantani, if you cannot do that good, then you just choose the best material. Then help you a lot."
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's like.
That's like a trade secret.
Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine cooked in my studio once, and it was really, I didn't know he could cook at all. But then he cooked, and it was nice. And he said, like, it's great, no? It's great, no? And I'm like, yeah, what's your secret? And he said, oh, I'm not a good cook. I just buy good produce.
Yeah.
Right? And
It's
it
true.
works. It actually works.
Yeah, it's work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like there, in a way, it's interesting. That is also non-human ethnography because the object, the medium becomes an agent, no?
Mm.
Like pigment or brush. No?
Oh, definitely.
They have agency too. They're not just instruments or tools or ingredients or elements to be used, no? But they can
Yeah.
produce something. There's like an inherent quality too
Oh,
in the object, yeah, like the
yeah.
wave or the water, like yeah.
Well, I completely believe in that. I actually have like so after the urchin installation, which I did in 2017, I made another iteration of it that surrounded it with weird anemone. It's hard to explain, so I'm sorry. Let me just go back a bit to my Firefox. And let me look for it. Yeah, this one.
Mm,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this one. So as you can see, there's these things which I called soft bodies, but they're actually pretty hard. They're made of plaster. But the pigment that is on them is called, oh no, I'm forgetting the name. But basically, it's a pigment that is originally made from mummies. So the extra mummies, they burn these bodies, and then from there they make the pigment. The pigment is basically like the organic or inorganic matter added with pounded and then grinded and then added with oil and then mixed thoroughly together, and that's how you get oil paint. It's that simple. So yeah, they were using this pigment was from mummies, and then for me it signified, like again, the orifice, like the death and the life and the connection between them. Oh yeah, the name is Caput Mortum. That's it. So I think that may interest Wantani if you're gonna choose pigments as well. Pigments have a lot of like history in them, like how blue was reserved for royalty before, things like that. Yeah,
A life of their own.
yeah, completely. I mean, I think it traverses colonialism, culture, whatnot. Like for Morocco, like where I am right now, they have their own red, Moroccan red, and I still can't find much information about it. I think there's a lot of border, like language border, because they speak mostly Arabic and French, and I know neither. Then they also have a city called Chefhaven, which I've never been to, but it's a city where everything is blue, and
Yeah.
I still cannot find an explanation why they chose blue for the entire city. I did manage to buy some pigments here. I bought the red, and then I bought a blue, but the blue was indigo. I don't think it's the shade that they use for the city. But yeah, I'm excited to use them.
Okay, next time I will ask you, Brie, what type of pigment that I choose.
No, I think there's a book online actually. Yeah, but it's interesting. I don't know that much either. I'm still learning. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have our last question from Facebook Live from Donna CT. So we apologize if there are any questions that were overlooked or we're unable to answer. We'll try to get back to those questions as soon as we can. So the last question is, do you have any advice for any aspiring artists?
Okay, Wantani.
Oh, I have no advice, but what I can do, just if you love to do it, you just do it. Is nobody can give you good advice if you don't want to do something else by yourself. It's like when I talk with my student, it's the same. Please believe in yourself, not believe in us. That's what I can tell you.
For people who ask me about an artist, I always tell them I don't like being an artist. If it was this hard, I wouldn't have said yes to it. But no, uh, I think that there are certain ways that we innately feel how we should live our lives and express ourselves, and we should maintain as truthful that as possible, because anyway, life is short and everything's depressing and everything's probably gonna go to shit. But at least, for the very least, that for the short time that you've had, might as well contribute something in a way that you're most passionate about expressing yourself in. So if it's the arts, then by all means pursue. Yeah.
Thank you. So before we head out, one last. Do any of you have any works in the pipeline, any works ongoing that you want to plug?
Like your next show, Wantani or Brie, that the audience might want to follow.
Okay. Actually, I will have allow at least 3 group show, but in Thailand and in Hong Kong, right? And then but another show, I'm not sure that is a show, but it's a platform that my friends, my curator artist friend Chiti Kasen Kitwatana have do it. Is he create one IGTV this in Instagram TV, and also he invite the artists to share the experience of work or moving image and still image, and even so music release for when we are stuck in our house as a semi lockdown, and it's quite nice, and I join with this. Also you can visit this platform. It's called Encrypt Decrypt.
Okay.
Why is it called Encrypt Decrypt? If it's alright to
This
ask?
is the name that Chitti that he initiate for this platform.
Oh, okay. Is it like concerned as well with privacy or?
Yes, actually we have we bought what how can I say, we have last, I mean, so maybe 2 years ago we have one group exhibition together, and this title of exhibition is Encrypt Decrypt too, and then that's why he used this for this
Okay.
platform, and you can find it in the IG, yeah, or in Facebook, and even in Spotify.
Okay.
So have
Okay.
many artists join with.
Okay. Well, for me, like, I'm not exactly sure about my schedule yet. I think I'll be joining a group show, which is going to be about mistakes, something like that. And I just thought I had this work in my studio, which I've been working on since 2018, but always feels like a mistake. And I wanted to put it there. But apart from that, I'm really in a mode of research and just absorbing everything that's around me again. Like, for example, the other day, because Morocco is a Muslim country, so every so hour they have a prayer, and then they have several mosques, and then they broadcast the prayer into the entire city, and all of them have different singing voices. How do I describe it? It's really surreal because I was on it on the terrace, like a roof deck of a restaurant, and then you hear all the prayers around you. They come from different areas, and then they kind of come into a sort of choir without really intending to be, and because I doubt they're synchronizing everything via Zoom or whatnot. And from there, it just brought me back to the society of birds in Bataan, like this multi-layered bird singing. And then I just thought, like, wouldn't it be funny to get several people to remake the bird songs of endangered bird species, and then to like um to play them to position different speakers in a room, and then have the sound go out through there, and then see if it's gonna have the same effect as the prayers. Well, things like these. I'm just really going around and then plotting things on a phone or a notebook. That's basically the mode I am in right now. So yeah, a lot more thing. I mean, there's also a few more paintings down, but then I'm also, yeah, I'm more into experimenting out of that and into other things. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. So we're all looking forward to all your future shows and endeavors, whether they are in person or online. We'll check them out. So that wraps up our question and answer segment and ultimately our conversation today. Now, to summarize our points and deliver his closing remarks is curator Patrick Flores.
Well, thank you, Catherine. I'm not going to summarize, na, but just to thank everyone who took part in this conversation. I'd like to thank you, Catherine, for moderating the conversation, the other interns and the staff of Vargas Museum for organizing this collateral event. I'd like to thank the speakers, Wantani, Kapunmakrap, uh, and Brie, of course, who made the time from Morocco. No? So it's great to hear your voices. They definitely animate the works that we see in the exhibition, and the conversation provides a bit of biography, that is important as we try to understand the work in the exhibition. So thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Patrick.
Thank you too.
So with that, we close this installment of the Vargas Conversations Online, a collateral event for the ongoing exhibition Displace Embody. Displace Embody is on view by appointment at the UP Vargas Museum first floor and third floor galleries until Feb 13th, 2021. To book a viewing appointment or to request any more information, please send an email to vargasmuseum@up.edu.ph or message the UP Vargas Museum on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter via @UP Vargas Museum. You may also check out our website at thevargasmuseum.wordpress.com. Have a safe, healthy, and good afternoon, everybody.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.